Try to get that in case the recording, in case you miss, at least you can kind of see what was done. And I know recording a class is a poor way to take care of things, but what I want to do today is just actually work on a paper again. All I'm doing is just trying to show you that if you write a paper, here's the techniques that you can use that will help you. I do want to remind you that you are allowed to use ChatGPT. The rationale for that is that by learning to do projects in ChatGPT, you will operate at a higher level than even if you were operating without it. Before we do that, let me share with you a video. Just want to show you a video. This video was written by students in speech class, and let's see if we can get it here. I've been watching the Iraq War, you know, uh, inquiring minds want to know. Okay, let me view my channel. And this was built by students. I just want you to see it.
1 to 2.
It's like a paper.
Noise, notifications, opinions, breaking headlines. Many people believe the greatest problem today is that God is silent. But what if the problem is not that God is silent? What if the problem is that we are not listening? Hebrews chapter 1, 1 to 2 states, "In the past, God spoke to our ancestors through the prophets at many times and in various ways. But in these last days, he has spoken to us by his Son. God has never been silent. From the very beginning, God has been speaking." Christianity is not built on speculation. It is built on revelation. God has always shared his message. God spoke to Noah. God spoke to Abraham. God spoke to Moses from a burning bush. God spoke through Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and all the prophets. At many times, in many ways, through dreams, through visions, through angels, through law, through poetry, through prophecy, through types and shadows. God's not distant. He is not disengaged. He is not silent. If there is silence, it is not on heaven's end. But in these last days, he has spoken to us by his Son. Not merely another prophet, not merely another messenger, his Son. There has always been one plan of salvation. Old Testament saints were saved by looking forward to Jesus. New Testament saints are saved by looking back to Jesus. In every generation, the message has always been Jesus. If you want to know what God thinks, look at Jesus. If you want to know what God values, look at Jesus. If you want to know what God desires, look at Jesus. If you want to know what God is like, look at Jesus. Jesus is not part of the message. He is the message. He is the heir of all things. Through him, the universe was made. We have not merely heard from a president, a governor, a legislature. We have heard from the creator of the universe. He is speaking to us. He says, "Look unto me, and be saved." Are you devastated by sin? There is a balm in Gilead. Are you unprepared for eternity? Look unto him and be saved. Are you confused? Alone? Weary? Jesus says, "Come unto me, and I will give you rest." God is speaking. The question is not whether he speaks. The question is, are you listening?
Now, let me stop there. I just wanted to show you that. And the reason I wanted to show you that is because that is a paper turned into a video. It has an introduction, it has point one, point two, point three, and then a conclusion. So what we're going to do today is just actually look at how ChatGPT could help us build a paper like that. And that narrative, they use in speech class, we use ChatGPT to help us. And we what we did is designed each part of the paper, and then we used AI to help us, another AI software called Pictory, and we used it to help us build a video. Those pictures, we drew them in Chat GPT. I want to show you something before we kind of get started on the actual writing. Let me go to my friend ChatGPT. Have you ever drawn a picture with ChatGPT? Let me show you how easy it is. Draw a picture of a possum eating popcorn. That's a silly picture, just something silly. But watch what it does when I tell it to do that. It's going to draw me a picture. It's working on it. And the good thing about this picture that it draws is that this is an original picture. This picture doesn't belong to anyone else. They don't have oh, there he is. Looks just like me, doesn't he? Tearing that popcorn up. Zoe's Friday is so excited because he's going to the movie. Let me show you. You would download that picture, and when we download it, we would export it. We're going to call it Possum, and we would export it to the database. But look what a cute picture it is. That's how easy it is to illustrate your work using ChatGPT. And that's what they did. They drew all those pictures. I'll show you another picture, and then we're gonna start writing. This is a picture that Zoe likes. You'll see why he likes it. Jesus drinking a Diet Coke. As Zoe says, that's my king. Okay, that's the one that Zoe serves. We're going to go fishing while y'all are sleeping during spring break. He and I and my sister and my son are going to be fishing, and Zoe's job is to guard the ice cooler and make sure nobody steals the cokes. All right, let me get us a blank piece of paper here. I was showing them in business math how a friend of mine used credit and made $400,000 with it over 7 years. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to write a paper. So we need a title, we're going to need a subject, we're going to need a subject, we're going to need a title, we're going to need an opening paragraph. We're going to need point one. We're going to need point two. We're going to need point three, and we're going to need a closing. So if you can write 5 paragraphs, you can write a paper. Let's see. Let me come up with a subject. Irma, you got any subject in mind? Anything, Naomi, John? Any subject y'all might want to write a paper on? What about something controversial? We're going to write a paper on politics. Right now, man, there's more. I get so tired of politics. I don't know about y'all, but this side, they're all a bunch of crooks. This side, they're all a bunch of crooks. Maybe they need to say we're all a bunch of crooks. I don't know, but you're entitled to have whatever political belief you hold. That's fine. But let me tell you, they call me and they want money from the Democrats. They call me and they want money from the Republicans. I give my money to the church. Okay. There, the gospel will make a difference, and that's what I'm interested. So let's see if we can. First thing we're going to do is we're going to use Chat GPT, and we're going to tell Chat GPT. Let me get it reloaded. I don't like having it already with stuff in there. Just reload it. There it's blank, and let's tell you what we're going to do. We're going to write a paper about politics. Okay. Share 5 possible titles with us. Let's see what it does. Now, it may give us 5 good titles. It may give us no good titles, but let's look. Oh, so let's look at those. Maybe we want more provocative titles. Let's tell it that. More provocative titles. You want to get their attention, it says it'll give us more certain. Oh, it even knows my name. It called me Dr. Waller. Sometimes it calls me Rusty. And I can ask it, who am I married to? And it says your wife's name is Sharon. It knows us, okay? Politics, the struggle for power in a divided nation. Look at those just a minute. We're gonna we're gonna write us a paper. The battle for the public, number 10, the battle for the public mind, persuasion and power in politics. You ever felt like when you're watching the news that they're telling you how to think? Yeah, I was kind of, the United States has entered into war and with Iran, and the Iranian regime is more. And I was reading Yahoo News. Yahoo doesn't like President Trump, okay, and every article they had was bad about him. Then I went in YouTube and I said I want to watch live news. I wanted something to tell me what's going on right now. And I went to Fox Live. They like Donald Trump. So one's telling me what's wrong with him, the other's telling me what's right with him. I don't need them to tell me one way or another. What I'm interested in is what's going on, okay? Because I've got friends in the United Arab Emirates. I had last night, I talked to one that lives in Abu Dhabi. I talked to another one that lives in Dubai. I talked to one who lives in Al Ain and one that lives in Ras Al Khaimah. And all of them told me, come on in, Mohammed. All of them told me that it is not as bad as the news is making it appearing. That the news is, oh, the whole country's been made. Said, no, that's not true about what's going on. So if we look at this, what we're interested in is maybe we might even talk about fairness, politics, the struggle for power in a divided nation. When power speaks, the hidden forces behind political decision, balance, power, and persuasion. Who really controls politics? The theater of politics, performance, power, and public opinion. Ideology versus reality. Why political promises often fail. The politics of influence. Number 6, money, media, and the making of policy. Number 7, truth, power, and propaganda in the modern political arena. Political tribes, how independent identity and loyalty shape public life. Democracy under pressure, conflict, power, and the future of governance. The battle for the public mind, persuasion, and power in politics. Oh, it gave us 10. 10 is too many, isn't it? It would have been nice if it was just 5. We wouldn't have so many to choose from. What do you see one of them that stands out at you that we can name, we can make the title of our paper and then we'll develop the paper? Have any opinion? Mohammed and John, y'all got any opinion about which of these we could write a paper on? Irma, Naomi, y'all have one you like? Number 5, ideology versus reality. Why political promises often fail. So ChatGPT helped us get a paper, get a title, didn't it? That's good. We're going to put our paper together. That's going to be what the paper is. Now, we need an opening, and we need let's go to work on this. Let's say first, before we get too started, we are going to write a paper on ideology, why political promises often fail. Give us 3 major points for the paper. Okay, let's see if it can help us with that. So we can at least know what the 3 points might be. It's thinking. The gap between, we didn't ask it to write the paragraphs. We just want the points. The gap between campaign ideology and governing reality. Okay, let's make that point 1. So this is what point 1 is going to be. And let's get to point 2, institutional constraint and political opposition. Seems like everybody's out. It doesn't matter what they do. They're going to be criticized, doesn't it? You ever felt like you had somebody that felt that way about you? It didn't matter what you were going to do, they were going to criticize you? I have. There was an old lady that didn't like me. She was a friend of my wife's mama, and she lived next door, and it didn't matter what I did, she didn't like me. So I planted a big garden behind the house and I worked it. And we had this garden full of peas and, lentils or peas that were growing. It depends on where you come from, what you call them. But they're coming up and, they have to bloom and then they develop the peas and you go out and pick them. And so she came down there and said, well, she said, those not going to make any peas. They look like flowers. I said, well, Miss Cox, they have to bloom to make. So about 2 weeks later, I called her and I said, Miss Cox, I said, if you want some peas, come down here and get them. They were just, because they bloomed, they were just everywhere. Now with peas, they had developed. She came down there and said, well, you planted them on a day when the hulls are going to be tough. So it didn't matter what I did. She wasn't going to like it, okay? But look at our paper. Now, here's what we got to do. We got to write an opening paragraph, paragraph one, a paragraph two, three, and we got to write a closing. But now we have a subject. Our subject is politics, but our paper is actually going to be entitled Ideology versus Reality. Why political promises often fail. Have you ever seen politicians make a promise and they can't keep it? You're young people, but I remember when George Bush ran for president. Read my lips, no new taxes. Then when he got in office, he had to raise taxes. Okay, so when the next election came, he was Republican. The Democrats were running this ad where he comes on, read my lips, no new taxes. That's what he wanted to do. But the reality was that he had to raise taxes. Nobody can say we're not going to have more taxes. Matter of fact, Benjamin Franklin, one of the founding fathers of this country, said there's only two things in life that are certain: death, you're going to die, and taxes. Okay. Another man, Will Rogers, said, no man's life or property is safe when the legislature is in session. Okay. He said that. So our paper is Ideology versus Reality: Why Political Promises Often Fail. Now, what we've got to do is write one paragraph, two paragraphs, three paragraphs, four paragraphs, and a closing paragraph. And we've got a paper. So what do you need if you're going to open your paper? What's the first thing you need? What's the very first thing you need? Now that we have a title. Opening sentence. Muhammad, you nailed it. I back there to give you a high five, okay? So we need, here's our paper again. And we're going to ask ChatGPT to give us some potential sentences, opening sentences. It can give us some good ideas, can't it? Get a good, clean ChatGPT. We tell it again. We are writing a paper entitled Ideology versus Reality: Why Political Promises Often Fail. Give us 5 sample opening sentences. Now, why 5? I could have asked for 6, couldn't I? I could have asked for 2. But 5 is that's enough to have a choice, but not too many. I want you to think about growing up. There was 4 of us. I had myself and 3 sisters. One of my friends had 11 brothers and sisters. That's a big family, isn't it? I don't. That means there was 12 of them. I would rather raise 4 of us than 12 of us. Okay, 12 could get complicated. So let's let it give us 5 opening sentences and see what we get. It's gonna give us 5 strong sample opening sentences. for a paper titled Ideology versus Reality, Why Political Promises. Let's see, look those sentences over. Now, an opening sentence should get their attention. That's what it's designed to do. It's the one that's going to grab them. This is kind of like when you go fishing. You throw your little bait out there and it's coming in, you're reading, the fish sees it and grabs it and they get hooked and we catch the fish. Let's look at these. Politics is often driven by bold promises and inspiring visions. Yet the realities of governance frequently transform those promises into compromises or failures. That's not a bad sentence. Throughout history, political leaders have campaigned on sweeping ideological commitments, only to discover that the practical demands of governance rarely align with campaign rhetoric. The gap between political ideology and governing reality has long shaped political frustration as promises made in the heat of election collide with the constraints of economics, institutions, and human nature. Political campaigns thrive on certainty and conviction, but the messy realities of governing expose how fragile many campaign promises truly are. Voters are repeatedly drawn to powerful ideological promises. Yet once leaders take offices, those promises must contend with complex systems, competing interests, and unavoidable limitations. What do you think is the best sentence here? What do you want to open with? Which one gets your attention? What do you think, Mohammed? Number 5? Okay. Voters are repeatedly, man, they get out there and they make the promises and we suck it up, don't we? We think we got it made. Let's copy that sentence. And we'll make that our opening sentence for our paper. So this is going to be our opening sentence. Okay. Voters are repeatedly drawn. That's the opening sentence. Now we have these other things. What if we could get an opening sentence for each paragraph? Give us a good idea what our paper might be like. So let me show you how to do that. Let's copy this. Let's say, give us a sample opening sentence, or give us a couple, 2 or 3. Let's just do 3 sample opening sentences for our first paragraph. And our first paragraph is the gap between campaign ideology and governing reality. Okay, here's our 3 sentences. Political campaigns often present clear ideological visions, but once leaders assume office, they quickly encounter practical constraints that reshape or limit those ambitions. The transition from campaigning to governing frequently exposes a sharp divide between ideological promises and the complex realities of policy implementation. When campaign rhetoric tends to emphasize bold ideological commitments, the responsibilities of governing require negotiation, compromise, and adaptations to real-world conditions. So we need a sentence to open our first paragraph. It's given us 3 examples. Do you like one of them? One of them do it for you? Sound more interesting than the others? Muhammad picked our opening sentence. John, can you pick one of these?
That's the one.
First one?
Yeah.
You like the first one, John? Okay. Muhammad picked the opening sentence, so you get to pick the opening sentence for the first paragraph. And let's see what we do here. We're going to put an opening sentence down here. Those points are just guides to help us know. Political campaigns often present clear ideological visions, but once leaders assume office, they quickly encountered practical constraints that reshape or limit those ambitions. Have you ever thought if I was in that place, I'd do this, and then you got in that place and you found out you couldn't do that? Yeah, life is like that. Okay, so guess what? Muhammad did the opening. John did point one. So you two ladies get to help us with the next sentences. So remember what we're going to do? We're going to take it out to ChatGPT. Go to ChatGPT, and we're going to tell it to give us three potential opening sentences for paragraph two. And that's going to be for point two. Let me take point two off. Let's see what it gives us. So you ladies have to come up with one here. John, you bailed us out. We'll make them do one. Even the most passionate campaign promises must pass through a complex web of institutions where legislatures, courts, and bureaucracies often reshape or halt political agendas entirely. Once in office, political leaders quickly discover that governing requires negotiating powerful institutional barriers and determined opposition from rival parties. I've been laughing over the weekend, the two parties, the Republicans and the Democrats, and they change sides. I mean, it's not that they actually believe those positions, they change sides. The realities of checks and balances mean that no elected leader governs alone, and political opposition frequently transform bold promises into limited compromises. Okay, here my Naomi. One of y'all's got to pick the sentence you like. Number one, okay? Even the most passionate campaign. Yes, that's a good sentence. So let's put it. We're getting our paper built. Look at this. We're almost there. Now we got to get point three. We got an opening sentence and an opening sentence and an opening sentence, opening sentence, opening sentence. Okay. So let's change circumstance. Let's go to point three. Let's tell it to give us, Naomi, this one's yours. You ready? Don't blink. Hang on. We're going to get you. Okay, let me get you fixed up. We're going to tell ChatGPT to give us, let's get back to this, get it there. Give us three potential opening sentences to our third paragraph. And our third paragraph is this. Okay, Naomi, you ready? Ready to go. Okay. It's thinking. Read them and look, just read them and tell me which one you like the best. What do you think, Naomi? Number two, political leaders often campaign with certainty, but once in office, they must navigate a world where unforeseen events rapidly reshape what is politically possible. Now, I want you to look at what we've done here. We're going to get a closing paragraph in just a minute, but let me take these things out. So we're starting to get a paper to develop. So we had to have 3 points, and then we had opening sentences, didn't we? Look how cool. Look at how cool we are. Take that out. Our paper is entitled Ideology versus Reality, when political promises often fail. Voters are repeatedly drawn to powerful ideological promises, yet once leaders take office, those promises must contend with complex systems, competing interests, and unavoidable limitations. Mohammed, you nailed it. We got a good opening sentence. That's the way it is. John, you got the next paragraph. And Irma, you had the next paragraph, and Naomi had the next paragraph. What we want to do in this opening paragraph is we want to reference the 3 points, and then we want to make a transition. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy these three, and I'm going to tell ChatGPT, who is my friend, ChatGPT, you're my friend. I want you to watch it when I tell it what to, because it's just waiting for me to tell it what to do. I'm doing the thinking. You're doing the thinking. It's doing the work. That's a pretty good deal. Okay. We need to complete an opening paragraph where for a paper with the following 3 points. I'm going to copy those points. Then I'm going to tell it I've got to go back and copy. Our opening sentence is, and let's give it our opening sentence. And let's see what it can do. See if it can help us finish a good paragraph. You ready? It's going to take off for us. Let's see, Dr. Waller, here's a polished opening paragraph that smoothly integrates your 3 points while keeping your opening sentence intact and strengthening the academic flow. Mohammed, here's your opening sentence. Voters are repeatedly drawn to powerful ideological promises. Yet once leaders take offices, those promises must contend with complex systems, competing interests, and unavoidable limitations. Political campaigns often present clear visions of change that appear both decisive and achievable, inspiring supporters with the hope that long-standing problems can be solved through strong leadership and conviction. However, once elected, leaders quickly discover that the governing process is far more constrained than the campaign trail suggests. Even the most passionate promises must pass through a complex web of institutions where legislature, courts, and bureaucratic structures frequently reshape, delay, or halt political agendas altogether. In addition, governing takes place in an unpredictable world where economic shifts, international crises, and social upheavals can rapidly alter political priorities. As a result, the distance between ideological vision and governing reality often becomes clear, revealing why many political promises evolve, stall, or fail once leaders assume office. So let's look at this as an opening paragraph. We worked on it. We got it down. Let me copy it, and then I'm going to erase that other part. Put it right here. Here's our opening paragraph. Now, we need a transition from the opening paragraph into the paper. This paper will examine the dynamics of political promise and political reality. That's a transition sentence. It's a good, man, what a good first paragraph. We got our opening paragraph. We got a kicker. I mean, we got a kick butt opening sentences. Then we just jump on them, bam, 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 beating on them. We tell what it is, and we're ready to move into the paper. You see, here's the opening sentence. You have to have a good opening sentence. Here's the opening sentence, right? And here is the transition sentence to go to the rest of the paper. And in the middle is the content of what we're going to cover in the paper. That's almost like a sandwich. You see, you got a piece of bread and you got something in the middle and a piece of bread. He just loves going to Subway. He's got a piece of bread and a piece of bread and something in the middle. We got it done. Now, there's our first paragraph. And look at our powerful paper. We started it. We don't have to tell them anymore it's on politics. We can get rid of this. And what we're going to do is tell it to center that. There's us open it. There's, oh, look, paragraph one. How many more paragraphs do we have to write? Yeah, three more. And we got three more paragraphs and a conclusion. And we're done, right? Oh, so we got paragraph two. Here's paragraph two. Let's tell ChatGPT, write a second paragraph with the opening sentence of, okay, give a couple of points, okay, give us a couple of points. Let's see what it does in this paragraph. We're just going to check it out. It's analyzing it. There we got our opening sentence. John, that's your opening sentence. This is your paragraph, man. What a cool paragraph. Look how big it is. Let's see if we can copy it over and then we'll read it. Okay, let's put this in our paper. This is a pretty good paper. There's the second paragraph, okay? So we don't need any of that open space in it anymore, do we? Let me get it to space right. It's trying to space kind of weird, isn't it? We want all of that to be Times New Roman because that's what we're going to use, Times New Roman 12. We're going to format the paragraph and we want to put 6 spaces between each part. Let's see. Political campaigns often present clear ideological visions, but once leaders assume office, they quickly encounter practical constraints that reshape or limit those ambitions. Campaign rhetoric typically simplifies complex problems and presents solutions as if they can be implemented quickly through determination and political will. In reality, governing requires compromise, negotiation, and the balancing of multiple priorities within a diverse electorate. Leaders must also work within existing laws, budgets, and administrative systems that cannot be easily or completely changed. As a result, policies that seem straightforward during a campaign often become far more complicated during the process of implementation, forcing political leaders to modify, delay, or scale back their original proposals. This tension between ideological clarity and practical governance illustrates why the transition from campaigning to governing frequently produces outcomes that fall short of the expectations created during an election. Think about the last election in the United States. Did they make any promises that they hadn't kept? Think about the election before that. Did they make any promises they didn't keep? And the election before that, did they make any promises they didn't keep? Yeah. I mean, and you know, we tend to get credit. Oh, they lied to us. No, they didn't. That was their vision. But what happened is the reality of it is they couldn't meet their vision. Let's take Biden just a minute. I liked old Joe Biden. He seemed like a nice person. What happened to prices under his political 4 years? Prices exploded. He was busy taking care of other stuff, and things went out of the way. Then Trump comes in, and we're going to bring prices down. What happened in gas? The gas in the last 2 days up again, a bunch. So the reality is, he campaigned, you're going to have low gas prices. Drill, baby, drill. I remember that. But the reality is that when you're in a war overseas, gas prices are going to go up. So we got John, you got a good second paragraph. Now, Irma, yes.
He didn't like what?
Mm-mm. And Trump promised when he ran, he promised there'd be no wars. And but the reality, once he gets in there, it didn't work the way he thought it worked. He told us he was going to end the war in Ukraine in 5 days after he went in office. It doesn't work that way, does it? But I'm not saying there's anything wrong with him, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Biden, or that all I'm saying is there's a difference between what you want to do and what you can do sometimes, isn't it? And that's just part of life. Think about getting married. I've been married 48 years, guys. Any of y'all in here 48 years old? I was married before you were born. I got married June 17th, 1978 to the cutest little girl. Man, I mean, first time I saw her, I said, I'm going to marry her. Yeah, But think about marriage. You fall in love and everything's going to be wonderful. And then she loses your toothbrush. Where's my toothbrush? I don't know. You got my toothbrush. What'd you do with it? I don't know. Why don't you know? So the reality of what you want and the reality of what happens doesn't work like that. Now, Zoe will go in and you put a Coke down, you're drinking a Coke, and you turn around, whoop, he's gone. He's here, been there, glug, 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 glug. He ought not to, he ought to be well behaved. Okay. But the reality is that if you got a Diet Coke, he's gonna get it. I showed you, I don't think I showed you Zoe's picture. Let me show you the picture Zoe generated. Let's go to pictures here just a minute. Zoe likes this picture. Jesus drinking a Diet Coke. That's his king. Because I'm telling you, Zoe loves Diet Cokes. All right. So let's see if we can get the rest of this paper done. We got a good paper so far. Look at that. Man, we got a good title. We got an opening sentence, a transition. We got an opening sentence right here. John, you and Muhammad kicked it over the goalpost. You're out of here now. Now we'll see if these young ladies can match you. Look at those opening sentences. No, I'm just putting it so you can see it. That's all I'm doing. I'm just fixing you so you can see it. Now let me format the last of this. But you see how writing a paper isn't as difficult as you think it is. It can, let me format the rest of the paper so it's all formatted the same. I just don't want it bouncing everywhere. I can't even see it. I'm blind as man. Okay, Irma, here's your sentence. Even the most passionate campaign promises must pass through a complex web of institutions whose legislators, courts, and bureaucracies often reshape or halt political agendas entirely. See, I remember George Bush, George Bush saying, "Read my lips, no new taxes." Passionate man, I vote for him, no new taxes. But the truth is, when he got in there, he didn't have any choice. They had to raise taxes. But he promised us, and he was passionate about it. But the reality was that it didn't work. So here's what we're going to do, Irma. Let's take your paragraph. Let's go to who is our friend? ChatGPT is our friend. And we're going to ask ChatGPT to help us write a paragraph to complete the opening sentence. And here's our opening sentence, okay? See what it gives us. Oh, it's rolling. Even the most, that's your opening sentence. That's a good, man. They mean well. It just didn't work. Let's put your opening paragraph in here. We've almost got this paper written. Okay, that's a new paragraph. So I'm going to dent it over. I want to get rid of these blank spaces, don't I? What's going on? Oh, I need to format it. It's doing some weird stuff again. So let me get it on down here. Let it do the rest of this. On format, so it only has 6 points between everything. Then we'll read your paragraph, Irma. And again, here's your open. Let me highlight your opening sentence. There's your opening sentence for the paragraph. Once elected, leaders quickly discover that governing requires negotiation with lawmakers, adherence to constitutional limits, and cooperation from administrative agencies that implement policy. A proposal that sounded simple on the campaign trail may require months or even years of legislative debate, amendments, and compromise before becoming law if it passes at all. Courts also may also intervene, striking down policies that conflict with constitutional protections or establish legal precedent. As a result, political leaders must often modify their original goals, balancing ideological commitments with the practical realities of institutional checks and balances. Has there been any conflict in our government lately? Trump implemented tariffs, didn't he? What did the Supreme Court say? For those particular tariffs, they said he didn't have the authority to do it. So he said, no, I'll do another tariff. So they're fighting back and forth, trying to find a place that works for everybody. And sometimes there's not a place that works for everybody. All right, we're down to you, Naomi. Let's take your paragraph. You ready? And we're gonna say write, or we're gonna say complete the paragraph with the opening sentence. Our opening sentence is that. Let's see what it does for us. ChatGPT is very powerful. Political leaders often campaign with certainty, but once in office, they must navigate a world where unforeseen events rapidly reshape what is politically possible. Economic crisis, international conflicts, natural disasters, and sudden shifts in public opinion can quickly redirect the government's priorities and resources. Let's get this whole paragraph out there for you, Naomi. Let's see what it's got for us. Yeah, there it is. Got the whole paragraph. Let's copy that. Let's take it, get all this. Oh, it doesn't want. Okay, let me move it down. Now the problem is it's reformatted it. Let me get it Times New Roman. We'll fix it all here in just a minute. And we've got 12. And we're going to format the paragraphs where it only has 6 points before and after. Let's see if that, oh, that looks good, doesn't it? Look at our paper, John. We're ready to turn this sucker in. Almost. Here's your opening sentence. Now, what I wanted you to see from this is that each paragraph has an opening sentence. And the opening sentences deal with the points that we're going to cover in that paragraph. What do we lack in finishing this paper? A conclusion. Well, let's now, guys, I want you to be really creative with me. Let's copy all this. And let's tell ChatGPT, let's tell our friend, ChatGPT, we need a closing paragraph to this paper. And the title is blah, and it's going to see what it does. Can it write us a closing paragraph to all that? It's reading it. In the end, you hear out summing, it's coming to the end. In the end, the contrast between ideology and governing reality helps explain why political promises so often evolve once leaders assume office. They promise something and they can't keep it. What if somebody ran for office and said, I promise that every one of you will be a millionaire within 3 years? I vote for him. It ain't gonna happen. But anyway, campaigns reward clarity, confidence, and bold. Okay, so let's get this whole paragraph. I'm gonna put it at the end of our paper. And I'm wanting you to see how we can write a paper. Let me copy that. Put it in my paper. This is a good paper, guys. Okay. And I need to get rid of that. All of this stuff. Okay. Get rid of all of it. We need to edit, move that over. And, oh, I didn't. I was in the wrong. We need to tab that over. And we're going to highlight. I'm going to highlight that sentence. Now, what I'm going to do is go in and I'm going to format the whole paper to make sure it's all formatted right. Because what happens is when you cut and you paste things in there, things will appear that aren't supposed to be there. We want a Times New Roman 12 font. That's the standard font. We want to format the paragraph. You want 6 points before and after a new line. And look at this beautiful paper. Look at it. Do you see the opening paragraph, the opening sentence? And the opening paragraph tells you what it's going to cover in those points. Then it writes each of those points. And then it ends by telling you what it said. That's pretty good, isn't it? That's a good paper. Let me show you something even more scary than this. Let's file, save as, paper. All right, we're going to save it and title it paper. Now, I'm going to tell ChatGPT to do something. What happens when you turn work in? What does a teacher do to it? Grade it. Oh, and sometimes grading is fair and sometimes it's not fair. What if a teacher likes you? Then you do good. If a teacher doesn't like you, oh, they may penalize you, you know? So we don't want to be graded unfairly. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell ChatGPT, grade this paper on a scale from 0 to 100. Let's see what grade it gives us. And what we will do is we will attach it right here. Come on through. You're welcome. Welcome to stay with us. Desktop, there's paper right there. Let's see what it tells us about our paper. It's going to grade it for us. We ought to do good with it. Dr. Waller, I have reviewed the paper and graded it based on typical undergraduate composition, clarity of thesis, organization, development of ideas, coherence, grammatical mechanics, and conclusion strength. It gave us a 92. Oh, here's the strengths. Here's the weaknesses. Oh, areas for improvement, depth of evidence. But it even wrote you feedback, didn't it? Man. Okay, let me show you something even more clever. Okay, take the attached paper and improve it so that it would earn at least a 98. Let's see what it does. Let's give it the paper. And we'll see what paper we come out with. The ChatGPT can do lots of things, but we had to think. It didn't just do a paper. We had to think. We had to organize. It's rewriting it. Well, we're going to take it and see what it grades its own paper at. Okay, here's our paper. We'll get it copied, put it on the page. Oh, there we got it. Okay, so let's take another blank document. We're going to call it paper 2. Come on in. and let's see if we can check our paper. I can show you even more things. Oh, and it wrote it. It didn't indent the paragraphs like we did. That's all right. And we could format it, but let's save as paper 2. Now that it supposedly redid it, let's ask it to grade paper 2 and see what grade it gives paper 2. Grade on a scale from 0 to 100. Okay, and we're going to attach paper 2. Let's see what grade it gives us. Maybe it loves us now. Let's read it down, Dr. Waller. He gave us a 97. Hey, but 97's better than 92. It improved the paper, didn't it? And did it tell us what we might have to do to fix it? Yeah. Presents a clear, okay, blah, blah, blah. The writing is polished and demonstrates a strong academic tone throughout. To strengthen the paper even further, the author should incorporate 1 or 2 specific historical or contemporary examples. Did you listen to what I was doing when we were talking about it? George Bush, read my lips. No new taxes. Bill Clinton, when they caught him having an affair with his intern, I did not have sex with that woman. My wife still gets mad every time she hears that. How dare him call her that woman? You know, he lost a lot of women voters when he said that. What about some of the other ones and some of the promises that have been made? You know, every politician that has run has made promises to get elected. And even if they did their very best, they couldn't keep all those promises, because the reality of life is that the world is very, very, very complex. And one of the things that we have to avoid is having a simple solution to what in fact is a very complex problem. And so, as you know, part of having an education is coming to the place where when you look at something, you begin to recognize its complexity. And somebody comes along and says, well, why don't you just do that? You understand that that's too complex. If you did that, you might fix it here, but you create a worse problem over there. Right? Now, I want to do one other thing. I'm going to take that last paper 2. Look at paper 2. What's wrong with this? Well, I don't like that big heading on it. Do you? What we need to do is we're going to format it. We're going to turn it all into Times New Roman 12. We're going to format paper where it has 6 points in between every paragraph. That's pretty standard, and it's a single line. You need to know how to do that. Now, let me get rid of this. Let me go back to the top of the paper, and we'll fix it like it's a regular paper. That should be centered. This should be indented. This paragraph should be indented. This paragraph should be indented. This paragraph should be indented. And the final paragraph should be indented. That's paper 1, the revised paper. Okay, so let me save it. File, save as. We just wrote a very complex paper, but who really is the brain behind it? Should be, we have to recognize it's us. We thought out what we decided we want to do this. We like this opening sentence. We like that opening sentence. We like this. And we built the paper, but it's a very good paper. What do you do when you turn a paper in? Oh, you put your name on it. Okay. Name. Okay. I'm going to put my name, Cooter Bill. Okay. All right. And we're going to put a class. And this is for English 1302. and the teacher is Waller. How about that? We might put a date on it. What is today? Today is March the 4th, 2026. Guys, I was born in 1956. 2026? Wow. I got married in 1978. Were any of y'all even born in 1978? I got married before you was born. My daughter is 46 years old. Any of y'all 46 years old? My got daughters older than you are. I got a granddaughter that's 25, so she's about your age. No, younger than 20. I got granddaughters older than you, Naomi, but that's all right. Life is good. What I wanted you to see is that it is a tool. Now let me show you a problem. I want to go back. Let me go back into the course. Here, remember this diagram? You have an introduction, paragraph 1, paragraph 2, paragraph 3, and a conclusion. Now, suppose somebody hates ChatGPT, hates AI, all right? And they're what I call an AI Nazi. They don't want you using AI. So they have a piece of software called Phrasely, and they're going to have an AI detector on it, okay? So let me upload a file. Oh, wait a minute. It's not sure. Okay. Let me upload a file, paper two, and we want it to check paper two and tell us if it's AI generated. Okay, check for AI. Watch it check, and it's going to tell you how much of it's going to be AI generated. 100%. How do how do we fix that? Let me show you something really clever. This is called humanizer, AI humanizer. AI humanizer takes something that's AI and converts it so it looks like it's let's import it from a file. We want to humanize this. Humanize it. Look at it go. It's redoing our paper. And how big is our paper? Oh, it's 716 words. That's a good size paper, isn't it? Let me take it now, and I'm going to show you something clever. Let's take it and ask it now, is it AI? Let me just paste the text there. I humanized it. I'm kind of silly, guys, because I love doing this. Check for AI. What does it say? Your text is likely to be written by a human. We just wrote a beautiful paper. Now, let me tell you some of the power of humanizer software. A person writes something and you want to improve it. So you put it in ChatGPT and tell it to improve it. It's going to show that it's 100% written by AI, even though you wrote it. So you can put it in humanizer software and it converts it back to where it was written by a human. And it can't be detected. It's AI. These detection softwares are like there's something bad in using AI. There's not something bad in using AI. We did the thinking. We knew how the paper should be designed. AI is a tool that we used, but we also can transition it where it doesn't show that it's AI. Now let me show you something even more clever. Let me get me another piece of software. We're going to build a video. I showed you the video to first class. Let's see. Let me get to Pictory AI. Oh man. I'm gonna take this paper right here. I'm gonna copy it. And I'm gonna tell it this is the power of AI. I want to convert text text, and the video. And I got to put my title on it. My title is this. We're going to put it right there. Ideology versus reality. Why political promises let me get rid of that line, okay? Get rid of that so I don't have that in the way. Just go to my paper. I'm going to tell it to build a video. It's going to build us a video. I think I like that. I just want to show you what you can do when you start writing. This thing will help you. And we thought our way through the paper. We knew what we wanted. We wanted an opening paragraph with an opening sentence. We wanted paragraph 1, 2, and 3 with opening sentences. We wanted a conclusion. This is a tool that helped us write it, but let's see if it builds us a video. Working on it. Now I'm going to do a couple of things. The reality of governing versus campaign. Oh, I like its little. Let me get my sound, my audio. I've done this a month, so I have to turn my music off. I don't want playing music. Let's go to voiceover. I want it to be narrated, and I have a voice that I like. The voice that I like is Django. Let's see here. Django Mail. Generate and apply. And then I'm going to play it. You can watch it. We can download it. Just see what it does. Right, it's working on it. Oh, no, ChatGPT, the version that I use is $20 a month. This is about $60 a month. Yeah. Now, it does do some things free, but the problem when it does free stuff is it only does a little bit. Are you ready? Let's listen to it.
Voters are repeatedly drawn to powerful ideological promises. Yet once leaders take office, those promises must contend with complex systems, competing interests, and unavoidable limitations. Political campaigns often present clear visions of change that appear both decisive and achievable, inspiring supporters with the hope that long-standing problems can be solved through strong leadership and conviction. However, once elected, leaders quickly discover that the governing process is far more constrained than the campaign trail suggests. Even the most passionate promises must pass through a complex web of institutions where legislatures, courts, and bureaucratic structures frequently reshape, delay, or halt political agendas altogether. In addition, governing takes place in an unpredictable world where economic shifts, international crises, and social upheavals can rapidly alter political priorities. As a result, the distance between ideological vision and governing reality often becomes clear, revealing why many political promises evolve, stall, or fail once leaders assume office. Understanding this tension between campaign rhetoric and governing reality is essential for evaluating how democratic leadership actually functions. Political campaigns often present clear ideological visions, but once leaders assume office, they quickly encounter practical constraints that reshape or limit those ambitions. Campaign rhetoric frequently simplifies complex problems and presents solutions as if they can be implemented quickly through determination and political will. In reality, governing requires compromise, negotiation, and the balancing of multiple priorities within a diverse
video, guys.
Political leaders must work within existing laws, established budgets, and administrative systems that cannot be rapidly or easily transformed. Policies that appeared straightforward during a campaign often become far more complicated during the process of implementation, requiring detailed planning, stakeholder negotiation, and bureaucratic coordination. As a result, leaders frequently discover that achieving policy goals requires incremental progress rather than sweeping reform. This tension between ideological clarity and practical governance illustrates why the transition from campaigning to governing often produces outcomes that fall short of the expectations created during an election. Even the most passionate campaign promises must pass through a complex network of political institutions, where legislatures, courts, and bureaucracies often reshape or halt political agendas entirely. In democratic systems, power is intentionally divided among multiple branches of government in order to prevent the concentration of authority in a single leader. As a result, elected officials must negotiate with lawmakers, respect constitutional limits, and rely on administrative agencies to implement policy decisions. A proposal that sounded simple during a campaign may require months or even years of legislative debate, amendments, and compromises before it becomes law, if it passes at all. Judicial review may further limit policy initiatives if courts determine that they conflict with constitutional protections or established legal precedent. These institutional checks and balances ensure stability within the political system, but they also mean that campaign promises often must be modified or diluted in order to gain approval within the governing framework. Beyond institutional constraints, political leaders must also confront the unpredictable nature of world events. Campaigns often occur within a relatively controlled environment where candidates can focus on specific policy proposals and ideological priorities. Once in office, however, leaders must respond to circumstances that cannot be anticipated during a campaign. Economic recessions, international conflicts, natural disasters, public health crises, and sudden shifts in public opinion can quickly redirect governmental attention and resources. In such moments, leaders who once promised sweeping reforms may find themselves responding instead to urgent crises that demand immediate action. These unexpected developments often force governments to delay, modify, or abandon previously announced initiatives in order to address more pressing concerns. Consequently, governing requires flexibility and adaptability, qualities that often conflict with the certainty and simplicity of campaign promises. Ultimately, the contrast between ideology and governing reality helps explain why political promises so frequently evolve once leaders assume office. Campaigns reward clarity, confidence, and bold proposals that inspire voters, but governing requires patience, compromise, and responsiveness to complex institutional processes
Good paper,
and rapidly
guys. Good
changing
video.
circumstances. Legislative negotiations,
Let it
judicial
finish,
oversight,
then we'll finish up. I'll
bureaucratic
show you. I will
implementation,
burn as soon as it
and
finishes.
unforeseen
I'll show
events
you how I turn it into a video by pushing a button. But you had to write it.
While this reality may frustrate voters who expect immediate transformation, it also reflects the deliberate design of democratic systems that seek to balance ambition with stability. Recognizing the gap between campaign rhetoric and governing practice allows citizens to evaluate political promises more thoughtfully and to understand that effective leadership often involves adaptation, negotiation, and responsible decision-making rather than the simple fulfillment of campaign pledges.
How about that? Are you proud of your video? Now, all I have to do is download it and it'll make it a video, but let me show you what happens when I make it a video. Let me go to YouTube. Once we make it a video, guess what I will do? I will load it up into YouTube. And when I load it up into YouTube, we will make it into a video. And then all you have to do is send them the link for the video and they can watch it anywhere in the world. How cool. History of the Anabaptist. Here's one that we built in another class.
When we speak of the Anabaptists, we are not merely speaking of a movement born in the 16th.
Naomi, that's not a man's voice. That's a woman's voice. AI can do men and women. First of all, I'm going to show them in the next class. We're going to translate it into Spanish. And the video is going to be built in Spanish. But no hablo español. Or hablo español un poco. Yeah, I do know When I see my wife, I say, "Hola, mi amiga." She's my girlfriend, my wife. Okay, but the power of what you can do in AI, you can write. You can write a very. There's nothing wrong with that video that we just built. That's a marvelous video. And when we turn that in to show it to our Mr. Young, our government teacher, he's going to think you are so smart. And I know that you're smart, okay? All right. Is there anything you want to ask me before I let you go? How many of you are going